Okay, call to order. Board of Trustees now in session. Time is 10 o'clock. One member missing is Rhonda. That'll be addressed later. Has everyone had a chance to look over the minutes from the last meeting?
Make a motion that we accept the minutes from the last meeting.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Previous minutes are accepted. Sherry, you have the treasurer's report?
We looked over the treasurer's report. Couple of overages. We need to, since we've hired Ellis to do our mowing, we need to up our cost on payroll. The payroll didn't go over every month. When we dropped it down, we dropped everybody else down. We didn't have but 2 employees. And so we need to go up to step 3. We gotta go back down in October when we don't know anymore. So I make a motion that we, we have to do the fit and then for I'll make a motion next. After we approve it. Water bill of course went up because of, holiday weekend. We've had, so we had to use a lot more water. So I have a breakdown, and if you had to give me a breakdown of how much gravel we have purchased. In June, we had a total of 13 loads of gravel at $4,060.
How many?
13.
How much?
$4,060. So, and now in July, I know we're not in July business yet, but we've already had 14 in July, and this is the end of the month, and it's about the same amount. So we spent $8,000 in the last 2 months on gravel. I want y'all to be aware of that. You know, we've been putting down a lot of gravel. Trying to get these roads built like that. So, that's where our budget is going over on maintenance. On the gravel. Anybody have any questions?
Okay, you know about the maintenance supplies and maintenance equipment.
The maintenance supplies, we had to use the solenoids and stuff for the new backhoe. The solenoids that were purchased prior to us were wrong or incorrect, and so we're going to get, we still got to get some more. They're not, they have like 24 volt and 120 volt, correct? And we need to go all of them need to be 120 volts. I don't know why we ever got 24 volts, but it was 12. Oh, there were 12?
Yeah.
So 12, okay, definitely one point. So we've got to repurchase those and get some more of those brought back in. We had a couple of 120, so we got to get the correct ones. They've been out in 14 months, and we're going to try to return them. We're going to try to see if Amazon will take them back and charge us a restocking fee or something. So I don't know, have Deanna call about that. If that doesn't work, I'm going to see Renee on them.
And then we can put them on the marketplace. 14 months ago?
Yeah.
They were not take us if we were.
No, we didn't have all the equipment yet. And they didn't get put in until we took over. So, yeah, they weren't installed when they were purchased. So, we're having that expense. We did have, any other questions?
What is the status of the solar right now?
Well, let's get this. Let's keep Well, right now, we're at 3411, and I want to raise it to probably 3600 a month. That just keeps us covered. Like I said, it's gonna go back down in October, so we should do the next couple of months.
Okay, I make a motion that we change, or, now what are we changing? Payroll to whatever Sherry said.
3600 a month, 23,000.
Okay. One second.
Any seconds to the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Is there anything to report under elections?
No.
Well, I have, going into this real quick, I had Deanna, I mean, this is still been a total mess. I have 6 pages here of people who have not paid. Which is still giving us, so, not paid either for the 2021 year or our past due before that, right? But all these people that have liens, so we're still going through that. She's gonna start pulling folders. It's just trying to get everything in order and figuring out what was done. We're still trying to get that and figure out where things are and why they're not filed in the right places and why they weren't put where they need to be put. So you have all the information, and sometimes you'll have notes in the computer that says they have a lien and this is what it's for, and then sometimes you just have notes they have a lien. And no follow-up and no paperwork and no nothing. So I did find out that we only have to wait 120 days if they haven't paid their judgment. So we can start foreclosing on several of these. So we're gonna start doing that, getting those together. We have, this last month,
Considering the number that need to be done, the legal department.
it's a lot of work. I mean, trying to track people down, people that are deceitful, like we were talking about last month about getting there's no reason to get the background check until we find out who everybody is and what they actually owe and what's actually due. And then we can do the background checks, and then we can find where people are, if they're still even living. And a lot of these aren't even living anymore. So it's come to that point, right. You go straight to foreclosure, right. That's what and then a lot of these we're going to be going straight to foreclosure. So, anyway.
Just go straight to it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about wasting your time with the other stuff.
Considering all the gravel we've already bought. Straighten up the records for that, so we need a motion to approve those funds.
Right. Well, we approved last month, in June, for more gravel, but we said we had 13 loads. So
I'm sure that in the hearing will be recorded.
it's difficult. So, anyway, that's
So
what we
how
have.
many months for, since,
$2,810 overdrawn on that budget already.
Mhm.
and that's for gravel?
Right. Yeah. So we need to either raise that or, figure out what we're gonna do on the gravel. So I know we need more. I know we've talked about doing we gotta get this hole over here fixed. And I still think my idea is a great idea. But it hasn't been implemented yet about grabbing we need some volunteers that will help go down here on this
Let's
part of the
start
road.
that whenever we
So,
start minutes.
I can't, I'm gonna say something about that, I cannot do that because if one of those rocks, out here on the main road, going across the freeway, comes out with that bucket and hits a car, it's my rear end, and I'm not going.
I understand that. I don't want to take it in the bucket.
I can't do that.
No, we did that part. Okay. So, do we need to raise our budget for our gravel? I mean, like I said, we had $12.50.
At the very least,
Well, I'm gonna say this, can I got one road here in the back that needs, I know, 2 loads. I need another load up here on this first street to finish. And there's probably about another 3 loads in different places that I need to touch up. And the whole south side will be taken care of. My main concern right now is a big hole. I've got to have at least 1 load to fix that, and then I got to add the side with shot rock to hold it. So that will be fixed. And I mean, I got a water line visible, and I can't dump big rock on top of it.
You need to put dirt down first before you put.
I need to add that water line to protect it.
With
Well, I can't really put screenings in there because it'll wash away. So I've got to use crush and run.
And then after the crush and run, then larger rock or.
Well, I'm gonna bed the side to hold it in there with big shot rock.
Ted, you know.
Or we need to get this approved first, or realize. Yes.
So approximately how many loads does he need for us to approve to increase the budget for next month? For August?
I'm gonna need
This is for last month.
1,
Oh, we're okay.
Well, then I need to know if we're going to increase the amount due for this next month, we need to increase the budget for that amount for this next month.
It's gonna be a stand-in change or just a one?
No, it'll just be a,
I'm gonna go with 8 loads.
Okay, we can do this under the maintenance and do the motion to increase
right,
the
okay.
loads. We can, now we're just going to do a motion to approve what we've already spent.
I ask you that motion twice.
So we're going to have a motion to accept the minutes. And then there will be then we get a motion, this motion finished for the,
We're gonna put that together, the motion.
Okay, we have a motion to increase the payroll for the,
That's, but we gotta accept what we already did, right?
Right. Before we accept the treasurer's report, then we need to accept the variance, right?
we need to make a motion to accept the increase for what we've already spent in the gravel. I make a motion that we accept what's been spent for the gravel.
okay.
Second.
Okay.
Make a motion and a second to approve the adjustment in gravel. All in favor?
I did, second.
Yes.
Yeah.
Motion passes.
Now, do we need a motion for next month?
No, we'll do that, we get the minutes.
Okay.
I make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor of accepting the treasurer's report
And collections report.
and collection? Any opposed? Collections report and treasurer's report are accepted. Which one do you guys want to get to meet this report?
We'll let you two different reports.
Okay, I'll go with what I've done. I've worked around the center bathhouse down here. I got the streets straightened up to where it's passable and it's not gonna tear people's cars and stuff up. And I did I put rock on a section of road up by Tina's, about halfway up is all it needed. It never had rock ever put on that road. I've got a section of Muskogee, south of the same bathhouse, fixed. And I had to tear these streets up before I put rock on it. And I did not want to fill holes up with this rock. I had to rip the streets up. So, and I've got John Hennessy's Road fixed to where it's not going to wash out or cause problems. But it's still doing this wavy deal. So I'm not going to level a street up with rock. And I've got, let's see, it's pretty, I've got a section down here around Cindy's place, straight up below there. And I've been pretty busy, except I don't want to try to do this all in the heat because it's just rough on me. And so I've worked down over the hill some to straighten some roads up. And I mean, all you could do is just drive around and see. You'll see it.
Can you
So.
give me an idea of some names of some streets that you work on?
Okay,
Well,
Miss
Five
Becky.
Tribes is, yeah.
Okay,
What about, yeah,
Toby, all tribes.
yeah, and Seneca, that's the one that washed completely out.
Yeah, it was totally washed out.
I want to say, that's
I don't know what the street is that goes down by you all.
Tallahena.
Tallahena.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, ours is Harbor Drive, what goes in front of us. Drive.
And then, but the one that you put rock on
Yeah,
is.
and I also fixed this bad spot over here, this side of Jerry, as you come out of that side of the street too. Around that pipe and everything, it's pretty good.
Okay, what about the north side?
North side, the north side, I've been over there, it's pretty okay. There's 3 streets, no, about 4 streets that I need to work on, and it's just where it's rutted out, and it's not going to take a whole lot of rock to fill that in. But my main concern is that hill back there with that hose on it.
Right.
And that's where I'm going to be working when I get to rock. It's on the north side.
This one, please.
Company's resurfacing our terminal. We've got a huge pile of concrete.
How about that?
8 pieces. Probably don't know where to haul it out. Small property.
They're gonna give
Is
it
that
to
how,
free?
where's this
Yeah, well,
located?
there's something.
Oklahoma City. I'm not sure they're going to haul that far.
Probably 30 tons.
That's the 6 degree. So once you cushion that area that you need to cushion, then the scenic pieces could replace the large rock.
You need that large rock on the outside to hold that back
Right.
from being washed out. I didn't want to put it in the hole.
No, they put it on the side, so you, yeah.
I just wondered if scenic pieces might be able to replace the need for the large rock for the size, so that we don't have to pay for it, because this, we can get this for free. Is there
Well, if you can find a way to get it hauled.
we can bring it, pick up, Sherry's got.
Well, I mean, I think that, I mean, that's gonna take a lot.
Yeah, this
I
would be
mean,
multiple
even
loads.
if we rented a, U-Haul or something, that would be good, that
I'm
would
trying to
hold
get
it.
the boss to donate the use of the truck.
That would be nice.
Even a dump truck.
That would be great if you would do that.
But that would save us a lot if we could do that.
Even semi-loads, because of weight restrictions, every 2 trips.
So, yeah, if you would donate
I had
that.
trouble selling me on one.
Well, but even if we had to, if we had to pay to have it brought on, what would it cost to have them drive it out here? If you could maybe give us a deal.
Yeah, I talked to, I had, I believe Dale talked to, Mel, he's supposed to be checking in on this.
Okay, I did get some info. She wrote down 20 $150 for the rock, for that riprap. That was the big.
That's what that is.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, that's $150. Oh, and you add another $150 for the truck, so $300.
And that would be for how much? For
20 ton, 17, 50 ton, twice the different measurements on that.
What size of truck he's got, it only need one load.
Yeah, no.
My thought is if it costs less to get the rock from Marvin than it would to rent a trailer, then it might be better to go ahead and do it that way versus getting the free rock, or the free cement. But, you know, just the fact that we can get so much free if we have the means to get it here. If we can, you know,
I could use it. I could use all I can get.
if we could find people coming out from Oklahoma City who have pickups, you know, that
The 30 tons is a lot to start with.
And to pull
a ton in the pickup.
to pull the
Yeah.
trailer, you
Two
have
pickup
to
load.
pick up that's, you know, 3/4 ton or 1 ton to pull it, not a half ton, right? So the best option would be to see if he could get his boss to maybe donate the use of a truck because we're nonprofit.
So Darrell expects to need 8 loads.
So it's on, are we gonna look into getting some concrete to fill a hole? Or what?
That's still pending, but so far, it's not encouraging. I think we should look elsewhere.
Okay.
It'd be nice to get free rock, but it just doesn't seem feasible. Too many hoops to jump through. We still need these 8 loads for Darrell.
Right.
Is there a motion to,
And I'm gonna make the motion for the 8 loads, and I realize it's a strain on our budget, it actually blows our budget out of the water, but we have no other option than to do this. And
It's having the roads.
it is, and this might be a good time to mention that I did call them up and talk to them about the possibility of, because, you know, it was such a disaster when we got all that rain. I wanted to find out if McIntosh County had been declared a disaster area, so I know if we had help with the roads out here. And they told me no, they would only help with the county road, but because we were privately owned park, the county could not help us with the roads. I've already found it out. And I did stay after the commissioner, called several times, the county commissioner on the county road, and I noticed that they have come out and taken care of it.
Yes, and so did Mr. Skinner did
Yeah.
too, so they did do that.
are we thinking about adding something else to these 8 loads of rock for the road?
Did Warren say you needed chat or something else filled in it, or just a rock?
Well, I can use the 8 loads out real quick between the north and south side. Okay? But I'm still gonna need the large rock to bed that around that pipe, that big pipe.
That's what
Hold
Marvin,
it all in place. And that's all I'm gonna need.
and that's what Marvin did get, right?
Right.
So we
What
need-
you need, the big rock, 20-foot room?
Well, I need to fix that hole. And then I can fit the big rock around it. I don't want to cut on top of that water line. I've got a water line visible.
Water lines off the side. That big steep hill.
Yeah. Before I put anything in it, I gotta get in there and actually pull the trash out. It's got a lot of garbage laying in it. I hope.
Marvin just said on Facebook Live to call him, so maybe they have something else. That would be
Going
great.
right now?
So, and maybe something pertinent to what we're doing. So,
Okay, we have a motion already to approve the 8 loads.
yes,
I already have a motion, we need a second.
one second.
We're making the original motion, all in
you did.
Yeah, we had a couple of them.
Okay, we have the 8 loads approved. Warren, what you got?
Alright, I've been working on these backhoes on the cylinder waste. That's what we discovered about the wrong cylinder waste. And, I got it all wired and ready to be stabbed in for the cylinder waste. So when we get the next of them, I can get on, get it.
How many gave you?
5 more. 120 volt cylinder waste.
Were those approved, does anyone know, in previous, or is this something new entirely?
It's something new entirely, because we haven't had the, we didn't know we didn't have the right solenoids until.
So we need to approve funds for the extra solar.
Do you know how much those are?
Well, she ordered them and they're $29.99 a piece.
Okay, so $30, so $150.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion that we purchase 5 more solenoids for $150 plus tax, so I would say, $175 to cover it.
Is there a second? Renee seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Is there any other old business we need to take care of?
We motion to.
Warren, was there anything else?
That's pretty much it. And I got one more bed out to paint. And do that, and just go ahead and put in
Which one's that?
the back of that.
How are we doing on our old events in?
They're always,
Oh, that's very nice.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the last time we hooked up. They're just set up in there.
They were
They're,
Yeah.
I never did that. But it should have been done by former,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the vents are in, the bathrooms painted, or all of
Yeah.
them painted there?
Well, no, the back one needs to be painted. But, yeah, they're all put in.
Then we would look into the additional road equipment. We're gonna, in a special meeting, we were talking about getting an excavator.
Right.
Or back to the 20-foot, work on our tractor, because the hydraulics are wrong.
You don't have the hydraulic setup on that tractor exactly. I mean, it's got a narrow wheelbase to it. Third, it's built to where you can't have a backhoe unit on it because of fuel tank, the seat don't turn, you got all this stuff in your way, and it's just, they done told me,
And the narrow stands would make it unsafe to
Right.
swing.
I've had that back wheel off the ground of 3 foot, and like this, and that thing is subject to turn over if you even move wrong.
Don't some of these attachments have the stabilizing legs on them?
Well, that's on the backhoe. That's on the backhoe. This is not a backhoe. It's on the attachment.
Okay, so we need an actual excavator.
Like a new excavator? Would that be anything?
You know, if you're gonna get something to do ditch work, that's right, yeah. The small excavator.
Because the roads are gonna keep on washing out until we
Yeah.
address the drainage problem.
You go to Dillon with backhoes, that's where you need it in case you run into rock and stuff like that, you have to rip it out. And these buckets run from 12 inches, 14 inches to 16 inch wide, and you gotta buy those separate. And, I mean, that's,
How wide of a bucket do you need? They come with 12 inch.
and then you go around it.
Okay, so did we get any more quotes or anything? Because I know at our meeting, we were gonna get quotes as far as any excavator and find out what.
Quotes?
Sure. No, we didn't get any more.
No more quotes.
Your data is full. Storage is full.
Warren, did you hear anything from that lady that was in here in the last meeting that was, no?
I haven't heard a word.
Okay.
Do you have a, do we have a phone number for her, perhaps we could follow up? Jen?
Someone mentioned a Bradco brand would fit the John Deere tractor.
I don't know nothing about that. I just know what John Deere told me. They don't make anything for that tractor we have.
Straight from the mini guys. Okay, let's,
I was gonna say, and then the other part of the discussion, based upon the quotes that we got, was whether or not to go with the used versus the pros and cons.
my contention is, that I don't think we need a new one, we need to get a used one that works, use it for what we need it for, and sell it and recover our money.
But the problem is the roads are not gonna go, that's the problem with the roads, is they needed to be worked on for 40 years and they haven't had the right equipment. So now we're drowning in it and the roads are not gonna go away. The next 40 years when our kids are out here, or our grandkids are out here, they're gonna be fighting it and if they don't have the equipment, I mean, it's not like it's a one-time buy. You need to be maintained, to maintain.
I have a limited to everything here. It's called drive the block and take a dip.
I lived in a town like that when I was growing up. Yeah, I don't know if it would work here or not, but we call it the snow town, snow streets.
So a purchase like that is gonna have to be special assessment.
But we need to talk, we need to get quotes before we even, for that special assessment or anything like that, and we need to get quotes on used and new equipment.
The best quote we have right now is $41,000 for a new.
That was 32.
It was 31,000 for
For
that.
the basic, right?
For the,
And that doesn't come with the bucket.
Plus 10,000 for the options of what we need.
okay.
You have to buy the bucket extra.
So that total that you stated would include bucket. Is that with tax?
Probably not. But you're a nonprofit, you have to pay
We do, don't we? I don't ever see it.
But anyway, somebody needs to get some quotes on some new equipment, on some used equipment, more than just one quote. Find out what's out there. And I can't do it because I don't know anything about this stuff.
I know that.
But I mean, I'd like to have like 3 quotes on new equipment and, you know, three or four old, you know, or used equipment if we can find anything. I know it's, you know, you may not be able to find that many, but let's.
I was trying to get some help with that. Go through the military and get their stuff at the Army surplus type thing, where they sell this stuff used.
Right.
Well,
Did you check into that or?
well, you can go walk in and buy it.
Yeah, it's like the
Where is
Army.
it?
But there's, well,
There's a place in
Missouri up there around Springfield, has one. I've been there, and they've got everything. I mean, stuff that you wouldn't believe.
But how would we get it back down here?
I can get it all.
Hold on a second. Ma'am, do you have something about a mini excavator?
Yes. What you can do is call the different companies and ask them to send a rep and they will come to you. And they will answer all your questions.
We may be able to use that to our advantage too, if one company wants our business and they know what they've got to come under in order to get it. We might be able to create a bidding situation to our advantage.
They might even be able to help you with used and give you some more options that way. That was all I wanted to say.
And what is your name?
Dusty Fullerton.
Steve Luther.
Okay, let's table that agenda item. Any further research? We have this huge list of items to discuss from the north side. I'll just go through these one by one. Install weight system on catchment basin cap for easier accessibility. What is a catchment basin?
The big thing
But we don't have one on that side. There's not one. There's not a set on the north side?
on the south side.
On the south side?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry.
The one I saw had like a pole and there was a chain that was hooked to the cap. And all you had to do was pull the chain and it would open the cap. And you could put your stuff down into the cap, the system. And when you release it, the cap was weighted and it would close automatically.
You're talking about a suggestion for something we don't have yet.
Yes. One of the problems, my understanding was that people are leaving it open and it's filling up with water. And so that would be a way to prevent that and maybe keep the area a little clean.
May I have right there at the camp facility? She was scolded for not putting a cap in. So therefore, that's why she's offering this solution.
The day I was out there, the cap wasn't even on the thing, it broke off easily.
We had previously discussed a camp of sorts that we've seen at an RV park. It's similar to a oil field header. And you have to have a key or have somebody open it for you. And then you can dump your waste and recover it. And you wouldn't have to put a cap down in the stinky hole at all. It's on the lid.
Well, the one I had seen, it was like, I think it's Plan J. It's one that's attached into the hole and it's on the grass. And you could sometimes step on some of them and open it up, but that's hard to do and bend and get the hose. And so I thought if you added a pole and a chain to the cap, then you wouldn't even have to touch it. You know, you could just do what you needed to do.
That's the only kind out there sitting. We go traveling, it's the weighted ones.
Yeah.
I didn't know we didn't have, we don't use it, so I didn't know we didn't have it. But yeah, that's the only kind in the RV parks we've ever gone to that have the weighted ones where
It
it's,
sounds like a good idea.
well, that's when it pops back down.
That would help for those who want to do it right and who aren't drinking when they come to dump. Like the ones who don't remove the cap and dump on top of it. You know, we wouldn't be able to help in situations like that, but for the people who,
Well, yeah,
Well, you're
because all
right.
you'd have to do is pull the chain and it would open it up and the stuff would go down, you wouldn't have to call somebody to come do it.
what,
The real problem with this is that certain people want to dump 300 gallons at a time.
Right.
That doesn't even fly. We're just gonna have to limit access to it because they won't follow the rules.
the cameras, you know, we've asked for the cameras to be turned on, the dump station so that we can find out who's doing it and we can follow up. There are some,
I have turned the cameras, they turned the cameras right now.
we may have to mount them a little higher, maybe put some game cams in that aren't as easily distinguished, so that we can find the people. You can drive around the park and you can see people who have vehicles that are set up with trailers, with tanks that are obviously meant to hold it. That you need to catch them doing that. It is a violation of DEQ, isn't it? To do more than 50.
He can't have a towing trailer during, doing heavy digging services like that.
You have to have a vehicle that is registered with the DEQ. You have to have a license with the DEQ to do it in the fire. So these people who are
But it
doing it,
doesn't, yeah, it's not fair to limit the people that are honest. That's the,
if
It's not, it's too far away, you don't see it.
I have,
and there's not going to be someone in the office at all times where they can see it. Sometimes they're doing this in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Mark, you have a suggestion?
we put a sign out front, back, and that was suggested by the sheriff's department. It says theft of services. They're breaking the law.
There's already a sign at the front
Wrong.
about, there's already a sign up front that says theft of
I
services.
know, I put it there.
Yeah.
That's the sign I'm talking about.
Yeah, and they disregard it. That's why there has to be a penalty, which we know that it's against DEQ regulations. I looked up the regulations on, in order to do that and to, in that volume, to dump that volume, it is definitely against the law, and the DEQ is going to jump all over. We have to get their tag number or identify them in some way to be able to turn that into the DEQ.
Why don't you just put the cases around the cameras that were previously brought up time and time again?
I'm sorry, but what again, around?
The cases around the cameras that were brought up time and time again by previous board owners and at meetings.
In case they get knocked down with a
They-
baseball bat.
Exactly.
They also just seem, they can take a can spray paint and spray over the case. So we've thought of all of that, but.
Well, then you guys are at a lose-lose situation.
Pardon?
Then you guys are at a lose-lose situation.
Well, we just have to think outside the box. We'll find a solution, so.
I presume you guys are here to talk about the north side dump station.
Did somebody tell you?
That paper.
Can I address the board?
Sure.
what is your name, please?
Robert Rayburn, R-A-Y-B-U-R-N. I'm on the north side. Okay, first of all, this has nothing to do with you guys. It had nothing to do with us prior to you, and many prior to us for several decades. The dump station over there was closed by the secretary. The office manager was closed by the office manager, and then that property was sold by the office manager. No board approval, no board even knowing what's going on. So therefore, the dump station that the covenant clearly talks about on the north side became non-existent. It's private property now.
Can I interrupt you for a minute, Robert? When you talk about there being a dump station over there previously, there is no indication with the DEQ that approval was ever gained to make a dump station. There's no record. We went back through paperwork, and there was no record of a dump station actually being legally created over there. DEQ has no record of it. So, and I know you're talking about back when someone was, in charge of the office, and I know who you're talking about. But apparently, if there was a dump station that was made, it was not done legally.
Well, if it wasn't done legally, there is one over there.
Okay.
I can walk you to it and show you.
I don't doubt it.
But my point is,
Right.
thank you. My point is, I'm dragging I call it a shit wagon, I'm sorry.
The honey wagon. Honey wagon.
Turd toe.
Turd tote. I'm dragging a turd tote on a public road. I'm crossing an interstate highway. And if that sucker turns over, that's waste. I'm screwed. And the people say it turns over on the bridge up there. Possibly shut down the interstate. It will shut down this road for sure. 50 grand, I'm told, possible fine, etc. My dad in his infinite wisdom, used to just pump this turds down into the gully and then went off into the lake. When I took the property over, I stopped it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And hence the total weight. Now, all I want is a bathhouse, water, and a dump station in this park. I can deal with the trash deal. I know what the covenant says, and it gave you an out, and you took it. Okay? I'm here in support of you folks. You know, I'm not an enemy. I just want my bathhouse, my water, and my dump station. So that I can take it right over there, get rid of it. Now, over here, now that I have to come over here and have for, you can imagine how long. Is that washout, why is that not working?
I don't recall when we deactivated it because it's a high flow water line and somebody had leaving it on all night long.
What's a good reason?
Yeah. We tried putting a lock on it, and people complained about the lock, because they couldn't use it, and like,
Okay,
that's,
I walked up the first time that sign had been put up there to do what I've done for decades. I'm over to the south side, and I started laughing at that sign that you got there. There's a sign right there at where that faucet is, telling me to wash it out and put the cap back, which makes sense. But there's water over on the side of the building.
right, you have to bring a hose, that's what we did.
I have to bring a hose. Well, how am I going to know that if I'm not informed? And please don't say Facebook. I hate that.
Thank you.
Not everyone is on the internet and on Facebook. Some folks out here don't have it at all. We talk about providing a hose there, but
Then someone else feels it.
Somebody will steal it.
Yeah,
So, you know, I'm just talking to you guys.
right, I agree.
I know where you're coming from. To be fair, we explored every avenue to put a dump station over there legally. The problem is it's cost ineffective.
well, and not only that,
Legally, it'll cost $20,000.
in addition to that, the DEQ, Stephen Dunn said that it can't be done because there's not enough area to put a dump station over there. So if we had access to that property which was sold, maybe that would have provided enough property. The existing property, there's not enough room per the DEQ. And we also, just a second, I'll finish, and then, in addition, Stephen Dunn said that to go with a piggyback idea of putting an additional tank onto the other tank to expand the capacity, I believe that was, more affordable. But he said that he would not even, he would not even consider a permit for us to explore that option until we got the water under control. He said the water usage going through the park, especially on the north side, absolutely unbelievable. We've got way too many gallons going through. We're beyond our capacity. It was created as a, you know this because you've been board members before. It was created to be a campsite, bathhouse and whatnot. And so we now have people with full-time.
To be a KOA.
Right, exactly. And so we've got too much water going through there, so they're not going to approve even a piggyback option. And what did he tell you about the piggyback option, about the feasibility,
So it's a short-term, expensive short-term solution.
and in a few months or whenever we would outgrow that as well.
That's why we didn't go ahead with what you all approved.
The main reason was, he said, there's not enough room for a dump station, and the piggyback idea won't even consider it without getting the water flow under control, which is what we're trying to do with these solenoids that we're attaching, so that there'll be a timer to turn off. So we're trying, it's just that we have to go through these steps.
That's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
We're trying.
Yeah.
That's what I want to hear. Lynn, you want to say something?
I'll wait until I finish.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Ted, sorry.
Oh, do you have something on this subject?
Well, on the subject where you're talking about,
State
my name is Lynn Storts,
Ellie.
S-T-O-R-T-S. I guess you're calling it a piggyback. But anyway, you know, because I actually did a lot of phone calls and talked to DEQ. I talked to Cassandra last time. It was down in the McAllister office, DEQ. She actually sent records up here that showed that layout of the north side septic system and dump tank. So you're saying there's not any record of it here or out of the McAllister office?
The people who checked into it,
The people who checked into it, which was Jerry, right?
Jerry, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, Stephen Dunn is the one that talked to Ted most recently, but as far as looking for paperwork, it was Jerry and somebody else didn't.
It was available,
Okay,
okay? It showed that dump station.
Okay.
We had a dump station.
but that's the one that Robert was talking about that was sold illegally.
That was sold across the street, closed up. We don't know about that story, it's past. But
Yeah.
here's the whole thing about it is, we had a dump station.
Yeah.
We are, by all rights, do a dump station. In other words, we should have a dump station because it says in the covenants that a dump station, of course, we've already addressed the track, water, bathhouse, toilet, at each one of these facilities. Okay? We don't have a dump station. We actually had it approved. We had it approved. We had a contractor set, and all that it was going to be put on as a permit, a modification permit, which was already approved by Cassandra and set up with Tony Haley to install. He purchased the tank, and he actually came out at one time, and it was when it was so wet. He was like, I can't, the groundwater's not going to allow me.
Now, is that
Now-
an extra tank adding to the existing one?
That's the tank that what they were going to do is they were going to set it close to the same septic field that's there.
Right.
And then what it was going to do is going to carry over to the septic tank that was there.
So that's-
Okay, I guess you're calling that a
Yeah,
piggyback.
I think they refer to it as a piggyback.
It was approved as a modification to allow us to have a 1,500 gallon dump tank.
Okay, so it was approved by the DEQ?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We have no paperwork.
We need to find that paperwork, then there is no record of it, and we'll follow up with the
It was all in
DEQ.
minutes, and then, you know, we approved the amount that was going to be spent on that, which was $3,000.
Now, I remember that. We could not find any paperwork to that extent. Nothing was left for us as a
Well, it's
board
amazing,
coming in.
it's an amazing problem with this office. That paperwork always gets misplaced or lost.
If it was.
Oh, it's amazing and all.
I understand it. Now, however, that was all approved, money was allocated.
Right.
Where does it show the money coming back into the budget?
We put it back in a couple months ago, several months ago.
It's in the minutes where we put
It's
it.
in the minutes where you show the $3,000 that was approved for that dump tank, go back.
Go back, yes, yes.
I'd like to see those minutes.
And probably May or, April or May.
I would like to see those minutes. I have not seen them.
When was this stuff approved by DEQ and the monies approved for?
It was approved in, what was that, October of the previous year before we left.
Before the new board came on in April, it was October prior to that.
What year?
2019.
Well, how long y'all been here?
2020.
I'm just wondering, if it was all approved, why wasn't it done then?
Because of the weather.
It was too wet, so therefore they was waiting for things to dry up, which would have been last summer. And of course, when it came time, whenever things were dried up, you know what we were told? We feel like it's more important that we get a tractor, so your dump station has been disregarded.
Now, that wasn't said by anybody on this board.
Thank you.
And it basically come from a great connection, so
Great connection.
no names need to be said, but see, the whole thing about it is why wasn't it taken care of?
So like I said, we have no bid, we have no nothing.
Yeah,
We
when
haven't had
we
any
began
information
to
on
follow
what that
up
was.
with it, with the intention of following through on that was discussed, and I do remember that
We
being
tried.
discussed,
We worked with
is
it.
that this is what the previous board approved, now we need to follow up on it and make sure that it gets done, and then when we begin to check into it, then we were told, and we didn't speak to Cassandra, I believe that the previous person did call the McAllister office because he mentioned it, but you know, the person that we're dealing with now is the Representative Stephen Dunn, and he said he wouldn't even approve a permit, so obviously he doesn't know that it was approved.
I even called the line locator for that.
Okay,
Yeah, Daryl was here at that time.
yeah. And do you remember the,
I've got paperwork, I believe, outside.
okay, on the DEQ, on the approval?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, see, we were never, that was never shared with us, and this is what we were told by who we were speaking to. So that's why
Welcome to
we,
the board.
this is why we couldn't follow through on it, is we were told something completely different. You can't do this, you gotta get your water under control, and if it was approved, then is there too much water going through there now for them to follow through and allow us to do it? If they told us we've gotta get our water
Let's not
under
talk anything
control.
about it until we find out.
Okay, yeah, so we need to find the
We
paperwork.
got a beginning. Thank you for letting
Yes,
us know.
yeah, thank you.
Please,
Let's go
thank
from
you.
here.
Thank you, that's what I came here to hear.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
and
what we-
might I add, I just want to follow through with the same thing. It's like, you know what, I just want the covenant states, I need to have a bathhouse, toilet facilities, I need to have fresh water available to me, a place to dump my refuge, okay? Now, I also, even though I don't have as big a one as he does, I'm talking about your turd tank. I had to specify that.
I'll wait for it to black tank.
Anyway, hauling across that road and that highway presents a hazard. In essence, he's saying, do you realize the amount of money that I can be fined with? Well, he doesn't carry the sole responsibility there. Open Harbor does too.
I don't have to disagree with that. If you're gonna transfer, report anything on a trailer, it's compulsory.
Unfortunately.
Make sure it's.
But it states in the covenants that we are to have a bathhouse facility, toilets, shower, fresh water, and a place to dump our refuge.
But again, that was also based on the fact that when the covenants were created, when this facility, when this community was created, it was a KOA.
Yes.
And so, you know, in order to provide a dump station that can handle the capacity that full-timers would put into it, you know, it may cost a little bit more than what we can do as a community now.
You're going to
Well,
have,
even at the 1,500 gallons that you're saying that has been approved, if you have 4 people dump the 300 gallon tanks, you're gonna fill it up.
Okay, well, therein
So
lies,
that's-
so once again, that's step of services, that is illegal.
you're also going to have to add to the lateral line system.
Let me ask you this, how many times that's happened and y'all been called saying your sewage is overflowing, you have to call road push out to come
That's
suck it
way
down?
too much.
See there, we understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we understand it.
The problem is these activities, because that's the whole reason why we started the process of the cameras, and I know we understand about the domes, but that's crap. You need to put in some cameras that aren't accessible, people will reach up and knock them around. You know, some good high def cameras, and you need to start getting evidence of this and taking these people. That's just like past assessments. Y'all realize how big of a problem that was until you took action. So you have to take action to get any results.
Dusty, did you have something?
Just on your water clean out over there, I believe, don't they make a hydrant where when you pull the handle up, it begins to pull itself back down and shut off? Would that be an option?
I've never seen one.
I've never
That
seen
would be great.
So we get these solenoids on the water, so that you have to have your key card to use to get the water from the side of the building. That'll also stop a lot of the stuff, but it's also going to keep them from, you know, people still are going to dump their stuff and not clean out the dump area. But yes, you're gonna have, and I think, I have said that, of course, and I write on Facebook, and I understand that, but I have said that, you know, with these dump stations, you're gonna have, with the water where it is now, you're gonna have to bring your own hose to clean it up. You're gonna have to have at least a 50-foot hose to get it, to clean it out, but it's your responsibility.
For now.
Right, for now.
But we need a sign or something to say that people can't read minds.
Right.
That's what I said to the
I find
secretary.
that there, I'd be like, What the hell?
Yeah, where's those?
What am I gonna do next?
How many tubs you reckon we cleaned out right there on the side of the bathhouse?
What do you think?
Unfortunately, the goalie idea, when we were driving on the north side, looking at the roads recently, we were told by a property owner on the north side that the large goalie that goes through there, that a lot of people over there are using that goalie to dump their black tanks. And of course, that's a DEQ big violation.
And they can't do it
allowing
right now. They can't do it right now because you guys have got that blocked off.
Blocked off.
With the boat and the hill, and then Jason has it blocked off with his vehicles.
Right.
We might consider putting a sign up over there to prevent that too, but that's, I'm getting off topic. So.
Well, that was on top.
Well, but based upon the dump station, Daryl, you had some comments about the lateral lines?
Anytime you put a tank in the ground, you are going to have lateral lines from that tank.
Uh-huh.
And I have dealt with PEQ when I had my septic system put in on those 5 lots I had.
Mm-hmm.
I know the requirements. I've dug too many of them. So the stuff's got to go somewhere.
So in addition to and it's probably more than 3,000 now, because that was back in October of 2018. So the cost may have escalated a little bit, but so in addition to that figure for the tank, then also we are looking at lateral lines. Does anybody know the approximate cost of adding those?
Didn't he also say we don't have enough room for lateral lines to add more lateral lines?
So you have to have
Because we don't-
350 feet just for a household tank. Okay? So
So
you're dealing with a bathhouse.
So we don't have enough property to do, because the property was sold, and that's, beyond our control, beyond y'all's control. So here's an idea. We sometimes have property that comes back to Oakwood Harbor, in foreclosure. If we had enough, rather than reselling property, and I don't know exactly how much space it would take to enable us to do that, but if we had property that came back to Oakwood Harbor, rather than reselling it for profit, adding it back to the general fund, if we could dedicate that property for use as a dump station, and do that. Now, again, that wouldn't be $3,000 because we wouldn't be able to piggyback it to that unless it was close enough to the existing spot that you're talking about to run lateral lines to it. But it is something we could be thinking of when we're looking at property to come back. Is that
That's what I was thinking.
okay?
We did present, Lynn, I don't know if you remember this, but we did present to the board when that property was for sale. The guy wanted too much, we thought. Now, we don't think so.
Okay.
Maybe we can buy
Are
it
they
back.
allowed to use eminent domain at all?
I don't know. We have to ask the attorney that. I think that has been explored. I think the person who was dealing with Alex previously, but we can follow up on that. You've got to call into Alex right now. Sherry, can you find out?
Yes.
Okay, was this property owned by Oakwood Harbor for the septic?
Yes,
And somebody sold it illegally.
Illegally.
Right, so the person that thinks they own it does not own it because it's kind of like
they bought it from Oakwood Harbor.
yeah.
They bought it, and that has been checked into, and they call it illegal.
Oakwood Harbor?
They call it a legal sale. It was, everything was done as far as the legalities of it, except for the fact that they were not authorized to sell it, and that person is deceased now.
That person ran this far.
Oh, good Lord.
That's just like they sold the pond,
You
which
have to
was
Yeah,
area access.
yeah.
to
Retention
some-
pond.
My understanding is that the person owned that is now in prison, and he sold it to someone named Tommy. So no one is taking care of the property at all.
Are the assessments being paid? We need to know. I need to know what lot number.
We'll follow up on that and
I know
see.
where it's
Yeah,
at.
directly across from the bathhouse, there's a big
Straight
thick
across.
bill there.
I know that this is kind of
So if that turns out to be accessible, where we could purchase it, then we have the cost of the piggyback tank, we have the cost of the lateral lines, whatever that would cost to run it, and the cost of purchasing the property if it's legally owned, and that's what we verified that was legally owned, even though it was illegally sold, if that makes sense.
Okay, let's not get into that. Let's look into getting this property first to see if the assessments and stuff.
Because it's all there.
And then also we need to check into the DEQ, and if there is an approval for it,
Yeah.
we need to make sure that's in place. We don't want to do one and then say, oh, okay, now we're going to take another month to do this. Let's figure it out together. That way, we've got it.
She's good.
Got it going.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. But let's not get ahead of ourselves as far as cost, because right now the costs are high. And hopefully in the next 6 months, things will go down, or else perhaps we're all going to be in sod houses. But
So look at the DEQ paperwork and then clarify, because they're saying that it was approved,
and find out who owns
but
that
Stephen
property.
Dunn is saying there's not enough to, the land that you're talking about, the piggyback, is on the land that's not sold, right? When you approved it, you were talking
The
about,
modification was gonna actually be on the same site as the current septic system.
okay, so if that is
It
the,
did not even include the land across the street.
okay, so the land that was sold, that we're talking about maybe reacquiring, that has nothing to do, we're talking about the existing place where it is, and enlarging that with the piggyback tank. But Stephen Dunn says it can't be done, there's not enough. So we've got to clarify this DEQ.
Assume
Yes, we're going to clarify that. So we'll follow up the paperwork, and then we'll get with Stephen Dunn and find out what happened and where it fell through. So,
Is it okay? I'm sorry, go ahead.
no.
Is it okay if, well, of course, I will formally follow the procedure, that I be at the next meeting and see what you have found out?
absolutely. Unless they close us down for COVID and we have to go back to having, limited number of people, or we're not allowed to meet in groups of so many, then absolutely, our board meetings are open. And we're, if you're on the agenda, then you can add during the meeting.
Right.
Otherwise, we ask you to wait until gallery comments. But yes, absolutely, as many can come right now as want
You want
to.
to pitch in and help find stuff out?
Well, absolutely, Lynn and I noticed I included him.
Nice. You did that once before when you got me on this board.
And we appreciate your input. And anything you want to do to help out, we encourage volunteerism. So if you want to help find that information, Ted has talked to Stephen, but he works full time.
Do we call Ted? Do we call Ted instead of the office up here?
I was. The matter is, I'm as busy, during the work day, I'm as busy as a FedEx driver, so I don't have time to talk.
Oh, FedEx driver?
I'm not a FedEx driver, but I'm as busy as if you've ever seen one.
Yeah, you work about 10, 12 hours a day.
Well, thank you for your service, for crying out loud. Yeah. Okay. We'll get in touch if we find some stuff.
Even if you text him and say, hey, I've got information for you, call me when you can.
That's it.
That would work.
I can do it.
Okay, so we will follow up with you guys, and if you want to help, that's great.
It's the big focus at the.
Okay, let's move on. Shall we?
No.
Here at the south side washout faucet. Dusty suggested a valve that
I know.
automatically closes.
Did you see me go there?
Does anyone know about these?
So, you're talking about this cleaning out, washout, faucet down here?
Yes. That's where it's going
I might have to, it needs to be dug up and fixed. It's been broke evidently and capped off.
Somebody ran over the pickup truck.
Well, my suggestion to that was, once you hook into, redo it, hook into the line that goes to that place, hook one up to fill tanks up with, for people to get in water. The other one tee off from that, so they can wash their tank, or whippy tanks out.
I agree.
Because it's you're using the same faucet for both purposes, and it's not a healthy thing.
It's going to take a little bit more than just repairing it, because apparently we tried to lock it off because people were leaving it running and it was washing all the way down the road. And so we locked it. Somebody got mad because they couldn't get into it, so they ran over it and crushed it. And then apparently, I guess previous maintenance concreted it
Yeah.
so that,
So we need to dig up the concrete.
no, so it's gonna take a little bit
I was
of
gonna say,
doing.
is if you have to haul water for yourself, and you have to get water off the side of the bathhouse, you're sitting there forever. And that faucet there fills them up quick.
Okay.
And I've sat and see people in line just to get water. And they shouldn't have to do that.
So we can do it, we can repair it, it's just gonna take some effort. Can you do it with the tractor? How are you gonna dig up the cement? I know.
I'm going to go, no. I'm going to do it by hand.
Sledgehammer, that one.
There you go.
I got one. And this is not off topic because it pertains to this, but this gentleman has gotten up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, been out there digging holes where we had broken water lines in the cold, broken water lines, and he has gotten out there and he has dug them up personally, and sometimes he and Warren were the only ones out there doing it. And he's a volunteer, and that's before Warren was hired. as well. So,
If you need to chip up that, I have an electric
and we also probably have some of that legal explosive material back also. You drill a hole, you pour it in, it expands and breaks up the rock so it doesn't take so much transfer. We know because of digging back through that rock to put that stupid storm shelter in. So we have some of that left, don't we?
But too bad I don't have some of the stuff I used to have.
So we can help with that, with that, okay.
Okay. Next. Thank you, gentlemen.
We already discussed our Garrett easement enforcement. I have a full-time employee. You're pretty busy, aren't you?
You're right.
What was that?
Easement enforcement.
Somebody wants an employee to drive through and check on easement enforcement, ordinance. I don't know who Jerry Goodman is, but what does this property look like?
It's better.
It's trash.
Better?
Yeah, he's really put a lot of work into it. It's changed tremendously. So that, he's working on it.
As long as he's trying, we'll let him keep trying. Follow through with burn out property, tell me about that. Someone know?
Yes.
That was,
Burn out property?
that was,
Next to Dusty's friend
yeah,
and Jason's place.
Just
underground,
close.
there was an underground fire behind this place.
Underground?
No,
Oh, that,
no, you're talking about something altogether different.
Oh,
The burnout, you know, up there where Jason, the little Debbie's guy,
yeah,
and her friend. That burnout right there.
Okay.
It's a bunch of junk still laying there.
all right.
Well, I know that Deanna sent him a letter. And he did finally come out. He tried to sell that property to Jason. And they made a deal, and then Jason found out that the assessments had not been paid, and neither had the taxes. And so that deal went south. I guess he's just gonna leave it. He's not gonna do anything to it. He wants to sell it for like $1,500 as it is, and then he wanted to give Jason a use of an excavator for a day to push it off the back.
That'll make it even harder.
Don't you, passenger?
So if the taxes are not paid, eventually it's gonna go to tax auction.
Exactly.
Well,
And
that's
then
where he
we'll
bought
be
it.
able to-
That's where he bought it.
It's probably
But
gonna go back there.
it's full of snakes and rats and cats.
The cats are big for snakes.
And
And rats.
so, I mean, it's pretty bad over there. And I don't know as hot as it's been, I'm almost afraid it's gonna be another fire.
A lot of these are calls for enforcement, and we've already sent out 6 warnings to property owners, and their time is up, and we're about to lower the minimum on it.
And I have a suggestion in doing that, and it pertains to your easement enforcement and your next one. which is enforcement of burn-up and trash lots throughout Oakwood Harbor, and the trust and build the trust for cleanup report. We've talked about that. We have sent out letters. We've given them 30 days. If they don't comply, then we will clean it up. Our problem is lack of manpower, so I have a suggestion. Because, you know, you've got Daryl that's volunteering his time on the tractor, hopefully early in the morning before it gets really hot. And then you've got Warren fixing broken things, and you've got Ellis now mowing. But to take Warren off the broken things, like the solenoids, and to take Ellis off the mowing, to do cleanup, to clean up just one lot, would take so long. So what I would like to suggest is that we consider hiring someone to do contract labor to do it.
I got that covered.
Do you? Okay.
If you guys will agree to it.
Okay, let's hear.
And the guy's name is John. And I don't know, he is one good worker.
Okay.
And I've seen him put time into this place, even after his work hours.
I know who you're talking about, and I know he also volunteered.
And
to
he
do
would
some
love
things.
to be able
Okay.
to do that.
So this is one person that we could consider?
He would have volunteered.
Yeah, but
No, he's
well,
not gonna volunteer.
and I don't think that anybody's going to volunteer to go in and clean up some of these properties like that. I think that we probably would have to pay them, but if we paid them what we pay someone to mow, you know, I think that's reasonable to pay. It's a very reasonable rate. What we pay, $8 an hour for mowing. So if we offer to pay that same rate, but not per hour, because I think if we did it per hour,
Yeah.
then it could be stretched out. I would
How
prefer
about
per job.
50 bucks.
Per job, per lot, say, this is how much it's gonna cost to clean up this lot, pay that person to go in and clean up the lot, and maybe even more than one person. We've got 6 that need to be taken care of, so maybe use this gentleman. I was thinking, forgive me, Courtney, but I was thinking, you know, Anthony mows some properties, so possibly asking if he would be interested in saying, yes, I might go in and clean up a property for X amount of money, and there may be a couple of other people in the park that need some extra money that would be willing to go in and do it. But what we have to understand is there's some legalities to doing that. You can go in and you can clean up the trash and you can mow, but you cannot remove any personal property off of the property that belongs to that person. Now, they may have an old toilet sitting there, and we may think that's trash, but they may have plans for it. So we can't remove it from the property. You know, but trash we can remove, we can take it to the dump, and we can charge them the dump fee as part of the fee to clean up the property. But anything that they consider their personal property, we can move it and put it hopefully in a stack behind their cabin where it can't be seen and mow around it, but we can't remove it. So that would have to be known to those that we contract out.
I went through this deal in the past,
I know.
and I'm telling you, I got more baloney out of the board members that were confronting me with this than Con sells baloney. Okay? But I will say this. You cannot move a vehicle within a certain year range unless you have papers for that.
Okay.
You cannot move a decent trailer unless you have papers of ownership. You can move garbage.
Right.
And it states in the covenant, anything that's not licensed, insured, and it's sitting there as an eyesore, it is considered trash.
But what if the property owner says that sheet metal sitting out there that's trash in a big pile, that's not trash, and we keep that?
Then maybe they should have cleaned up their property and not left
If
it.
you give these lot owners 30 days to make arrangements to clean it up, and they sell the diesel, and they get 3 of those. Dirt.
I think we probably have 6. We sent out 6 letters. So, Dusty, you have something that contributes to this?
Can we not charge, fix it so that a base charge is $2,500? If we have to go in and clean it up, we have 30 days to do it yourself, or you will be billed $2,500. You can pay somebody fairly, and you can tell them in the letter that anything that is loose, not tied down and licensed, and currently paid, It's gone.
We can do that. I don't know about the 2,500
Well, we
because
have a $250 fee right now that we're gonna charge.
And $250
Plus-
to some
plus
people
what-
is a lot of money. But $2,500 is gonna get their attention. And if they don't want to go that route, well then, okay, we'll just take
It
the
doesn't
property
matter
and sell it.
250 or 2,500.
They were gonna do
They
it.
won't pay it anyway.
this is
Exactly.
what we were finding with the
Then you go
fines.
get the property.
We did the fines the same way. We hope that it would motivate people to comply. And so that might motivate some people to comply, but other people, 250, 2,500, they're gonna say, I'm not gonna pay it anyway. And then you end up tacking it on to their account with their assessments. And then they're either paying it out $10 a month or they're not paying it at all. And so it's a loss to us because we have to pay the people to clean it up until we can take their property. And then, even then, we can't recoup. If you sell a lot that's maybe worth $1,000 and you spent $2,500 to clean it up, we're not going to recoup what we put into it. So we've got to make the fee reasonable enough where we can expect to hopefully recoup it with the sale of that property.
Renee, you're still gonna, if you're gonna go in there and clean it up anyway, all right, and you're still gonna pay those people. So, there's no difference, there's not a, there's no.
Well, our hope would be if they pay the fine or pay the cleanup cost, then we can recoup what we paid out of the general fund to pay those people. But the original, getting back to the original motion, idea, suggestion, I would like to make a motion that we use contracted labor to do cleanup of these properties that we've sent cleanup letters to, and they have not complied. We now have the right to go in and clean up those properties and pay someone to do so. That we have that person perhaps look at the property and give us a bid. I can clean up that property for $100 or for $250. Right now, I think we have $250 as the established fee. So anything over $250 would have to be approved by the board, but up to $250 to clean the properties. And then we open it up to individuals within the park first to do that to earn extra money, including perhaps the gentleman that Darrell mentioned. Again, the suggestion I mentioned, those would be just. I would like to make a motion that we use contract labor for cleanup of properties where property owners have not been applied letters. Okay, all right.
Is there a second?
That was funny, I like that. I've watched her, she's going,
It's like, oh my gosh. She's the pro tem secretary right now because I'm injured, so she's doing a great job.
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Good.
No, okay, one
Yes,
dissent.
I take vote. I vote for it. Motion passes. Oh, just,
This wasn't on the list, and, I'm sure y'all are aware we had a pretty good sized fire back on one of the roads here 2 weeks ago, I think. They were burning trash out behind this gentleman's property, and evidently set off a bunch of fiberglass that burned for almost 2 weeks. And I was trying to call 911, and I don't know what the road is. So 911 had me go up to the front, and as soon as the fire truck got there, I drove on back around to the property. Could we consider in the future signs? Should we?
Well, 911 won't go by road, like these roads, Seneca, all that stuff, they don't know that. You call FEMA or the emergency deal, they gave me it, East 1079 road. That's what I'm on. That's what they'll look for.
Speaking of,
Instead of putting named roads, we need to put the E1079 road,
Yeah.
because that's what they go by.
And we have suggested that people give their 911 addresses and put them out in front of their properties. We have requested that, and before you came on board, we'd asked people to do that, but not everyone lives out here, and so not everyone's on the internet, they don't know to do that, and some people don't comply, they don't
I
follow
don't get
it.
it out here, but I got it anyway.
Yeah.
We need Paradise Point's phone number.
I couldn't even tell them, it's like, okay, you're jogging, you turn
Yeah, it goes to
left on
Joplin.
Wildwood, and you make that right at
Because it goes to
Bob Ford's
Joplin.
place, and the first
It
left
goes
is
to
Bob
Joplin,
Ford, and
Missouri.
it's fine. You know, it was, if you got somebody that's trapped in a mobile home that goes up like a matchstick, you know, you need to get somebody out here quick. And so there's got to be some kind of way to work with emergency services.
And thank you for going the extra mile and leading them back to that, that's amazing.
You're saying they don't go by the 911 address?
They do go by the 911 address, they don't go by the
But there's a problem there. I was
Seneca
told-
Drive or Harbor Drive, they don't go that, they go by the 911
They put it
address.
in their GPS.
Yeah.
I was told by Matt at the 911 office that if you don't have a permanent structure or your trailer's not skirted and the wheels are off, you can't have a 911 address. That's wrong. I'm sorry. That is absolutely
They
wrong.
have changed it since 2019. We go through this every day. You have to
This
fill
was
out.
just, 3 weeks ago when Carolyn went and registered that property.
Okay, it changed in 2019 to all of this crap you have to go through just to get a 911
Right.
address now. And I'm not sure of all the process because thank God I had one already. And I don't know what all you have to go through, but I know it has something to do with floodplain and
Can you, Ted, can you encourage in your next property owner's meeting, bring it up, encourage them to get a 911 address? That's pretty much all you need.
Does anyone know if all the Upwood Harbor streets have a county designation, east, west, or north, south, whatever?
You can pull it up by drone.
By drone.
Yeah, you can go on, my wife has done it. Just an aerial view.
Like Google.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyway,
Yeah, we could bring it up in the property owners meeting. Another way to get the information out would be to try to put a message, pertinent issues like that in the letter that goes out annually to property owners with the statements, so that all of them will see it, because not everyone comes to the property owners meeting. Most of the time you have people that just live here, and then a few others will come in. So that might be another way to get the information out. But maybe we could even have
It's right there.
maybe we could even have you know,
you find it?
North 1070 Road, north,
I know the some of them, but not all.
maybe we could add that to our existing street signs. So Seneca would also be this, or, you know, is that,
yeah.
is that an idea that,
They're not good.
okay. Yeah. If it had the designation Seneca plus the 1076 South Road,
It
or
would be
whatever,
like Eagle Pass and whatever that
Yeah.
county road is.
at least they could find the road. I think that would be,
Underneath.
street signs.
Well, no, there's too many semis driving around through there taking them down.
Yeah, we had a semi come through and
You're gonna have to talk about,
It wasn't him.
it wasn't Bob.
It was the guy that was trying to drive down in Marvin or Melvin's place.
so in order to act on your suggestion to provide 911 addresses for emergency vehicles, then we need to perhaps make a motion that we find someone willing to make those street signs that would include that, and I'm going to suggest perhaps the person who did it previously, since he indicated that he might be ready to resume that, now that he's been given some time after the death of his wife. Pardon?
Maybe he'll do that.
Well, and he volunteered in the past, but certainly if we might need to consider
Just buy the materials.
buy the materials. Okay, so I make a motion that we contact Earl Hughes
Huge.
and ask if he would be willing to make,
I haven't done shorthand in 50 years, so.
I make a motion that we contact Earl Hughes, ERLEHUGHES,
I passed that.
That's the only thing.
to make include both the name of the street and the 911 street address.
County Street address.
County, yeah, thank you.
And make them reflective. The posts don't have to be, but the paint could be reflective.
Yeah. Now, I've used reflective paint on ours before. It's supposed to be glow in the dark and it didn't work. But we could find something, perhaps you could use reflective tape to do the, instead of writing it on there, painting on there. Pardon? It won't stay. You could come up with what would work, so that would be the motion. Yeah, oh yeah, Home Depot and Lowe's have the little letters you can buy. that are like-
Brown, red, reflectors where they can.
Yeah, but to show the address, show in the dark.
So then we get the ballot for them all.
So I made the motion.
Okay, I second.
We have, okay, hold on.
Just take the motion.
Hold on. I mean, I'm looking at regular street signs. I know it's nice to have the wood and,
Exactly.
but they're $8.99.
So it'd probably be faster than
And
that.
we can get them faster. I'm just,
And we
time-wise, it
A
would not
compact
take,
signorama in Oklahoma City, cheap.
Okay?
Or we can
or
help.
a sign.
I can help.
You can hail,
You can help? Would you like to help by contacting Signorama? What all would
we
you
have
be
to
willing to
get an
do?
app together
There
with
you
all
go.
of
But
them.
you have to figure out how many signs we need.
I'll contact them and find out what it will cost, and then I will call Deanna and tell her.
Okay. And now that quote would include both the street names like Seneca and the county street.
That include the whole, everything.
I think we need to do north side, and I think it's something we need to eventually do the south side too, because it's,
Well, I'll just find out what one will cost,
right.
and then.
And that one,
y'all-
Yeah,
So I would like to change my motion
thank you.
to take advantage of Robert Rayburn's.
Why don't we just say, he's gonna check into it and stay until next week?
That sounds good. I changed my motion to what she said. Until the next meeting.
I'll just call her and tell her she can do with it what she does with it, so.
Yeah, I think we need to get them all in there.
The address, like the training meeting, after my name.
That's been a bit.
Yeah.
What?
Just sitting back and quiet.
And I'm curious about something,
Yes.
might I ask? What is this young lady's, are you on the board?
Maybe I'll get.
She's what? What, tell that.
Courtney got me, Robert.
Courtney asked if she could videotape the meetings so that she could share with other property owners,
Oh,
for those who cannot be present. It's shared on Facebook
that's a
Live.
hell of an idea.
It's shared on Facebook Live, so
You guys sure
it only, yeah, you guys aren't on Facebook, so you wouldn't have seen it.
You wouldn't have done it
But
at
some
all.
of the property owners see it on Facebook Live. Right now, it's being shared to one particular website, I believe, or Facebook
Yes,
page.
and it'll be put on YouTube once we finish this meeting.
Well, but
Yes, let's get through with this meeting.
All right, wait, we're done. Unless Ted wants to continue.
We don't want to go through the rest of the list.
I think we did it all.
Okay, is there any new business?
We have lost a board member last month, and we need to vote on the board member. And, so my motion right now, we have a couple, and we're gonna put another one on next month. So right now, I make a motion, Daryl has put in for his, will be back on board. And I think, he's been a great asset to us. And so I make a motion at this point that Daryl is put in the position of board member, as of today.
I'll second the motion with my appreciation for all that he's done as a volunteer.
You have a second?
I was a second.
Right. All in favor?
All those
replacing Rhonda?
No, that's
Replacing
David.
David.
And in the motion, it needs to include that the position that Gerald is filling is that of David Thompson, who resigned. David's term expires in April of 2023. So Gerald's term would be until April of 2023, which would roughly be, what, a year and a half? So, yes. So that is for that particular resignation.
Do we have a new resignation?
Yes.
Rhonda's having family problems and it's tendered her resignation. So we once again had an open board seat. So we'll be taking applications for that seat.
Yes. And we already have some already on file, we're inviting others. I would like to make a motion that we accept Rhonda's resignation and that we remove her name from the signature card at the bank. That we also, if we've not already done so, that we remove David's name from the card at the bank. And that we add, at this time, that we add Daryl's name to the signature card at the bank. That will need to be in the minutes.
Don't put mine on it. I don't want to be on it.
But we have to have that in the minutes before those names can be removed. So,
I'll have that.
okay, I made the motion to accept Rhonda's resignation and to remove her name from the signature card at the bank. And that at the same time, we also remove David Thompson's name from the signature card at the bank.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed?
That is a congratulations.
Already?
John Morgan.
Are we done? Cease and desist.
Almost.
Gallery comments.
Anyone in the
Wait,
gallery?
I have new business. I'm sorry, I'll do this as quickly as possible. Ted had an idea for a legal committee to pursue these past due assessments. And once we figure out exactly the process, we want to abide by the legalities, make sure we're doing it right. Once we determine exactly who's out there that's not paying their assessments, that's beyond 120 days, some of them have liens that have been out there for at least 3 years. We need to go after those unpaid liens and start the foreclosure proceedings so that these people aren't left for years and years and years without paying anything. If we have a legal department, a committee, so to speak, that consists of at least one board member, I think we can have up to 2 for a committee, one committee. So 1 to 2 board members, and then made up of property owners who want to participate in this through the park. Maybe, what would you say, at least 4 or 5 property owners. And hopefully they would have some legal background or at least business background so that they could participate and be knowledgeable about what's necessary. I think that we could work down through that list and without having to wait for the board to do it all. There may be some people who want to volunteer to help with that. So that would be one of my ideas, not necessarily a motion required, I don't think. Is there just an idea to go forward with that? Then number 2, the contractor cleanup, which I already mentioned. Another one would be moisture wicking shirts for Ellis, for Daryl, and for Warren. Ted has one on. It's that material that...
It's 100% polyester.
Yeah, it wicks that moisture and it stays cool. They're cooling shirts. We could opt maybe for either short sleeve or for long sleeve to prevent them from getting sunburned. That heat is excruciating out there. And you can get these from Walmart, from Amazon, from Academy. I would like to make a motion that we at least purchase 3 of those shirts in the sizes necessary for these 3 men. We do not want them getting heat exposure, heat stroke or anything. I noticed that Ellis was out there this morning in a flannel shirt that covers him to prevent him to get sunburned. That's too hot. So I'd like to make that motion.
One step further, how about a color that reflects sunlight, makes them easy to see, easy to identify as park employees?
Most of them are like a bright fluorescent yellow, bright orange, bright lime green, something like that. And I think that's a great idea.
I could go with the green. I could
Yes,
go
lime
with the
green.
other color.
Okay, so lime green maybe? And the cost of those shirts, for Academy, you're gonna pay $20. For Walmart, you may pay 10. So, yeah. So that motion would include a purchase price of up to, let's say, $22 to include tax, and any leftover funds that are not used would be added back to the general fund.
So you're saying 3 shirts a piece?
I would say at least 1 shirt a piece for now, because I mean, you can wash them out at night and hang them up to dry, and they're dry by morning.
These are men we're talking about.
Yes, men.
Yeah.
Okay, wash them out.
You know what I just thought? Not me.
Yeah, that's true. If they're $10, if they can find them at Walmart, you know, you could get 2 a piece. So.
Anything like that, you're gonna talk to pipeliners. They know where to get the reflective shirts. My husband has plenty of them. So, and they're the 100% polyester.
So, I made the motion.
So what was the motion?
I'm tired of these motions. It's like, okay.
I
Start a motion and end it instead of,
I make the motion that we purchase reflective wicking shirts for our 3 maintenance personnel
to include up to $22
per employee.
1 shirt each.
per employee.
$22 per employee, so either 1 or 2 within that $22.
That way, if you go to Walmart and get it for $10, you got 2. If you go to Academy, you get 1.
Yes.
We don't need to have it.
So that's $66.
Okay.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Okay.
Motion passed.
The next thing that I have,
It'll be late.
very late. I'll hurry. Quote for the courtesy boat dock. The gentlemen who were going to do that have dropped out, and they're no longer interested in doing that. We have some steel that's out here, I don't know how much, but I contacted Marine Docks Skip Kreider, who makes courtesy boat docks for most of the lakes in Oklahoma, including Tin Killer and Eufaula, etc. He's familiar with the Corps of Engineers guidelines and requirements. And so I've asked him to give us a quote. I provided him with a copy of the schematic drawing that was made up when we got the permit for the boat dock, and he has given me a quote for that size on that drawing of $11,500. I told him that we are a poor HOA, and it would have to be something that we would have to raise the money for through fundraising. I don't know if it's possible, but I wanted to provide the information so that, you know, Courtney, you're our fundraising chairperson, so you can see if that's something you want to tackle, and also those that are watching on Facebook, if it's something that they feel like they would participate in, if they wanted to put in some money toward that. We could do lake t-shirts, have you know, Oakwood Harbor or Lake Eufaula t-shirts, sell them, craft beer, whatever, that's the idea. So I'll go to the next one. This is a motion that I'd like to make. We have approximately 20 tires that have been dumped in back of the maintenance shed. We need to get rid of them. Ella said that there's a guy in town who will take them off of our hands for approximately $1 each. So I would like to make a motion that we allot $20 to get rid of the tires that have been dumped by property owners.
Second.
They're done.
All in favor? Any opposed?
Are we the gallery comments yet?
And I'm done with new business, so, yes.
Now taking gallery comments.
Okay, there's 2 issues and then 1 has to be off camera. First, last month, you brought up hiring a lawn-only person. David quoted, you could advertise it on the bulletin board for a week and then you could fulfill it. Renee said that would give anyone else time to apply that wanted to. You guys discussed the price, the hours, and everything else like that. The motion was made by Sherry, seconded by David, also seconded by Ron. And that was not left open for a week. That was actually fulfilled come Monday, I believe, after that board meeting.
No.
Yes. No, it wasn't, because Anthony came up that Monday, filled out the application. It was office was closed Tuesday, Ellis was hired by Wednesday. And there are multiple people who can account to that too. So the board needs to be held responsible for that. And I mean, Anthony's not completely mad over the situation, but you guys went back on your motion. So something has to be figured with that, especially since Ellis was only hired for mowing and he's been helping Warren paint the bathrooms, spray the bathrooms.
He's
Well-
strictly a volunteer for that.
Well, I'm just letting you know that's what was brought up. Also, Debbie Ashley, she said in regards to the culvert damage and washed away almost her entire circular driveway of rock, Debbie paid $840, but only got one full load delivered, then another half load of gravel, rock, and small pile of dirt that Clay had tractored in. She wants to know from the board, will the HOA replace the culverts correctly to divert the water? And how does the board plan on going about all this? Because we went over there and looked at her property and water has not once gone through those culverts and is actually washing out her neighbor's property who lives in Florida or Louisiana or something. And she has lost all of her money on that property and she wants her things fixed.
This is an issue that we have throughout the park. It's not just her culvert. We have 2 culverts on our 3 lots, and one of them is partially handling the water. The other one is barely handling the water.
Well, this was brought up with Jerry and Clay, so.
Due to the recent washouts, it's even worse. This is why there's been discussion over the possibility of purchasing a mini excavator through possibly a special assessment. We're still finding information.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I have spoken with Clay. He came to my house and talked to me about this situation with this young lady. And she had paid people to do the work. And apparently it wasn't done correctly or whatever. So now there's lawsuits.
Okay.
And so I guess Oakwood Harbor could put the culverts back in at some point, but none of this has anything to do with Oakwood Harbor.
Oh, I see. Okay.
This was done privately, and if she hired somebody that's unqualified to do the work that she did.
Yeah, she hired Jerry through Oakwood Harbor.
She hired. It lays between her and the person she hired, and she'll have to handle that on her own terms with her attorney. Oakwood Harbor has no business in this deal because Oakwood Harbor's personnel did not do any part of it.
Jerry was hired by Oakwood Harbor, was he not, as maintenance man? Using the tractor owned by Oakwood Harbor,
Well, he rented the tractor.
which is through Oakwood Harbor. Am I correct?
Well, there's clarification needed there. There's certain work that he did for Oakwood Harbor as a paid employee, and then things that he did freelance on his own, then he paid Oakwood Harbor for the privilege of renting the tractor from Oakwood Harbor for his own personal freelancing. I'll do this for you and you pay me X amount of money.
Okay,
So this was
well,
not done as an Oakwood Harbor employee.
This might be something that the board sits down with Debbie and discusses.
And we'd be happy to do that.
Yeah,
That's the first time we've heard of it.
Okay, well, she had me bring it up because she's no longer here. And if we're done, there's one more motion, or one more situation that has to be brought up outside of camera.
Any other comments from the gallery?
Anybody else have comments?
Edgar says live view's working great. Joe Westermeyer said we got a 911 address a few months back, but if you put it in the GPS, it does not take you to our place, and getting somewhere to answer the phone at the number provided is very difficult. When that fire broke out on the north side, they called Paradise Point, and that number actually got routed to some guy in Joplin, Missouri.
There's 2.
Well, no, this is for, right down the corner. And it was routed to some guy in Joplin, Missouri. So maybe if we can find the correct phone number, because I guess they had called the 911 number and they said they had to contact Paradise Point.
I've also been told that you can actually call the sheriff's department about those issues and they will contact you.
Okay, well,
But if you're in an emergency situation, you need to be able to call 911 and get a fire on your car.
The one down here on the corner is not our fire.
No, it's around the corner.
yeah, I know. Paradise Point, right around the corner.
Well, it's not right around.
Okay, well, I mean,
So who is going to, Sherry, you talked to Paradise Point initially, right? Would you find out if there's a better phone number?
I'll call Matt and
We
we
will
will
publish
publish
that.
That's funny.
So,
Entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Can I say one last thing? I was told, no names, that I would be damn lucky if any of this got on the agenda. And I want to thank you because you did put it on.
That's what we're doing. We're not bad guys.
No, we really are.
We're trying to get Open Harbor up and going.
This is why we allowed Courtney to do this. This is why we've opened it up and invited property owners, is because we really do care, and we really are trying.
And so much work needs to be done that we really need more volunteers. Everybody who wants to help, please do.
Yeah, we need to move rock over across from here to there.
Okay, I'm sorry I interrupted you. Sorry.
board meeting date.
Motion to adjourn.
How will you do that?
When's the next one going to be?
Did who made the motion to adjourn?
We wouldn't have it yet, we had to stop it.
She's looking for something.
August. Back on track would be August 14th. That's only 2 weeks away.
I think we need to delay it since we delayed this one for illness.
On first maybe? Does anyone have a problem?
21st.
21st?
August 21st.
I probably won't be here because I have a baby shower tonight.
Okay, do we?
That's been going on for the last 2 months, so I can't say no.
Right.
Would you be more likely to make it for the 28th? Is that,
No, I've got something for the
you've got this on the 28th? Okay, the 14th is awfully
Too
soon,
soon.
but,
There's no way the minutes could get done by then.
No.
well, we can have it on the 21st or 28th. You know, if she's pre-approved to miss.
Right.
We now have another board member, so at least we're not running quite as
Still
short.
have a quorum.
Yeah.
Let's go with the 21st. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? All in favor. Meeting is adjourned.